everyone, my name is Kaikun6 and I'm here to do another episode of Playlist Stories. If you're new to this channel, hi. I like to do these type of videos once a month where I talk about like experiences or memories that I've had that excuse me, that are attached to these songs, and I like to talk about them with you guys basically. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my throat today, but I'm gonna see if I could pull through. But if I do need to do some cuts and this and that, I'm very sorry. But anyway, but yeah, so I talk about these experiences attached to these songs, and I like to talk about it with you guys because either a learning experience, or if not, just to try to get to know me and this and that. So anyway, trigger warning for you guys that I'm going to tell you now. This is about a teacher bullying a student, and I was that student, and then I'm going to talk about it. It was just a very weird experience for me. How this started out was that I've had a conversation with one of Blake's nieces, and she told me she was transitioning to go to the 3rd grade, and I told her about my experience with 3rd grade, and she was just like, oh, and I was like, but I just hope your teacher loves you very much, and you love her too, because I do not love my 3rd grade teacher. I hated her guts, and I sadly to say I still hate her as of today, because it left a traumatizing experience for me. And the sad part was, even after what happened, she never apologized for her actions. She never really did. And I was just like, I'm not expecting an apology from her, like, right now or whatever. But, like, she should have apologized to me back then, because I felt like me and other students that were either overweight or something. Because I remember I gained weight back when I was in the 2nd grade, or even the 3rd grade. Because I remember I cut my hair, and then it triggered me to gain some weight. And I felt like maybe when I was overweight or whatever, she basically, I don't know, she found fault in that with me or something. I don't know, you guys. It's just, I always felt like I was always targeted by this teacher. And I'm glad that type of chapter is over in my life. So yeah. So anyway, I'm going to talk about this experience. And as you can see the title, Poison Ivy by Limp Bizkit. But yeah, I just remembered listening to the song recently. It came from Limp Bizkit Underground back, like, as a fan page back in 2002. And yeah, I listened to the song like about a couple years ago, and I just remembered like, oh, I didn't even know they had other unreleased music that Limp Bizkit had. And I remember listening to this playlist, and right now the most obsessed song that I have in my brain, like, I felt like I cannot go on with my day without listening to the song 3 times, which is When It Rains. That became like basically my latest obsession with that song. And and this song too, but I felt like When It Rains was the most one, because I felt like I really like that song. It's just Fred's vocals, man. I am a sucker for his vocals. But anyway, when I was hearing him play the song, it just triggered a memory, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to talk about it with you guys. So I am going to do a lot of cuts. This video is going to be long, so prepare yourself with drinks like I have right now, and or food, because this is going to be a long one, and I will be cutting a lot because I'm going to get really emotional, because this was very triggering for me and traumatizing for me. And I know I'm going to be blowing my nose, so I have like my little handkerchief ready for me, so I can blow my nose off camera, and then this and that, or not wipe some tears, because it is a very emotional thing for me. Like, I've had other traumatizing experiences that happened to me, and I have talked about it with like family and friends before, but I felt like, you know, why should I share that into the internet? And I was just like, well, I've had friends for years that also that they're either very new to me and they've never heard this experience before, and then maybe it would be like a learning lesson for anybody that's actually watching this channel, this and that. Excuse me, oh my goodness, my throat's about to go out, you guys. I don't know what's going on with me today. Maybe it's a curse about me talking about this experience. But anyway, so I got my trusty notebook ready, as you guys can see, and I have all my notes listed here and here. So I wrote down about this experience, about this teacher, right? Like I've talked about, I remember I talked about it with friends and family before. It led to a very weird friendship with a friend from high school that I still talk to as of today, which is my friend Choji. And I talked to him about what happened with this teacher, and he's like, what a coincidence. Like, I got a teacher fired too from this school. And I just said, really? And it's like, yeah. And so it led to me telling my experience to him. And then when he told me his experience, I'm like, that is a fucking good story. I would love for him to talk about this that experience with you guys, hopefully one day on this channel. And I want him to talk about like our friend Joss too. Like, I've been putting off that video for so long because there's so much information that I do not know about Jaws, where I felt like I want to talk about it from my experience of how I met him and this and that, but I want to get like all the information and facts straight before I do anything, because it has been since high school. That's like what, over 15 years for me, 14 years, and like something, and like I even forget sometimes what I ate for breakfast. So I'm like, why would I remember anything back in high school too? But sometimes, like I said, these types of music, especially like what I listen to nowadays, it triggers the memory, and I gotta go talk about it. So yeah, anyway, so again, trigger warning, this is about a teacher that used to bully a student, and I was that student, and it led to her being fired. So, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So I don't want to dox her, but I have to, because I don't know if she is still alive or anything, but all I know is that I don't think she teaches anymore. If she does, that means she took a plea deal for something. I do not know. I don't like spewing out some sort of false information and stuff, but all I know is that I heard something back when I was in high school, and I was so happy about it, because that means no other student will fall for her anymore. Like, they will not fall for her tactics, her bullying, and this and that. So anyway, Mrs. Mackenzie, my 3rd grade teacher at Euclid Elementary School. I wrote down also this too. She was nice to me at first, but once I got sick often, she started being mean to me. So yeah. So what happened was, I was going to, I was like in the 1st grade, right? Well, let's talk about this, because then it'll lead to what's going on in 3rd grade. So in 1st grade, I had a teacher, Mrs. Armijo, rest in peace to her. I found out that she passed away not that long ago, and I was just like, oh, that sucks, because she was actually the very first teacher I had for elementary school, and she was very nice to me. And as a gift, which it's somewhere with my mom, that by the time that she found out that I was going to be going to middle school, she gave me a gift, which was like a classroom photo of all of my classmates in 1st grade. And I would love to show you guys that, because that way you'll know, like, wow, you look so much different when you were in elementary school. And I said, yeah. And of course, as family, like my mom, she loved to take photos a lot, especially when we were kids, up to adults, this and that. And so for her to receive a photo, it was like basically a gift. And so when I told my mom about this, and she's like, give me that photo, because I'm not going to give it to you until you're older, because I know you're going to rip it. And I was just like, fair play, you know? And so I told her, like, okay, well, sure, like I'll keep the photo forever and this and that. And then she's like, good, because you were my favorite student. Like, I don't know if anybody has told you that or not. And I was just like, I was sort of like the favorite student for some teachers, but a lot of which, because like I've never really talked in class, or I basically tended to myself, or I was mainly like, you know what, I just want to make my parents proud, so that way I'll have some passing classes, and then for my reward for getting something out of it was always like candy. And so I was just happy about that. But yeah, excuse me, the curse is coming back. I don't think she wants me to talk about this experience, because I think she still has some lingering mean thoughts to me. Who knows? Anyway, excuse me about that. All right. So then, just to continue with the experience. Okay, Miss Armijo wanted me to go do an errand for her, pick up some worksheets for the class, and it was going to be for the rest of the week. And she's like, can you do that for me? And I said, I would love to. Where do I go? Go to the teacher's lounge. Oh shit. I'm not allowed in there though. She's like, it's okay. I'm going to call somebody to see if anybody is going to like help you with that, because I know you're not allowed to be in that teacher's lounge. And I was like, cool. Picked up the phone, dialed somebody from teacher's lounge. Somebody apparently answered it, and I came to find out that was Miss Mackenzie. She told her about what I'm gonna be doing, and she just like, okay, whatever. Okay, that didn't certify if that was okay or not, but she said, go on ahead, go to the teacher's lounge and see if you can pick that up for me. And I said, cool. So I went down to one side of the school to the other side of the school. I found the teacher's lounge, and then I came to knock a lot of times. I remember I knocked 3 times each consecutively. Like I tried to do in sets. Nobody fucking answered me, honestly, you guys. It was like 5 minutes have passed, almost 10 minutes. Teachers were like wondering, like, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get help from the teacher's lounge. And she's like, well, I'm not allowed to leave the classroom, so try to see if we can find a faculty member to help you. And I said, okay. I was like waiting a little bit longer, and I got finally this faculty member. She was a very nice lady. She went to come and help me, and she's like, what's going on? And I told her, it's like, okay, let me go see if anybody's here. So she went inside the teacher's lounge. Immediately, that Miss Mackenzie looked straight at me saying, what the heck are you doing? You know, like, you're not allowed in this basically area. And I was just like, I know that, but I had to have somebody help me because I need somebody to help me with an errand that I'm running for. And she's like, oh, so you're the kid from Miss Armijo's class? And I said, yes. She's like, give me a moment. I'm on my break, and I'm going to go get, once I'm done with my break, I'm going to give you the paperwork. Faculty member was like, why are you holding up a student for her time of learning? And most of all, Miss Armijo asked you to do this, right? And it's like, yes, but I am on my break, and I haven't had a break in a while, so I need to take this. And then so the faculty member said, the paperwork is just right behind you. It's not going to take you like your 15-minute break. Go ahead and grab him, hand him to me, and I'll hand it to the student. And she would not listen. She was taking her time, eating her lunch, whatever. And faculty member felt like mad and just said, do we need to talk about this with principal so-and-so, which was the principal at the time. It was a female principal. And she's like, you know what, whatever. Grabs the paperwork, hands it to the faculty member, looks straight at me and telling me that I'm rude. I'm like, what the fuck, lady? You know, like, I didn't do nothing. I didn't violate any rules. I was being nice. I'm not that fucking rude, you know? Like, I'm sorry you're on your period or something. I don't know what was going on with that lady that day. But I just remember somebody else told me, like, another student saying, like, she had her for first grade also. And she was very rude to everybody. So I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. Okay. So it turned out that she was bullying students for years, honestly. And I felt like I was the main one that she targeted the most during that year. And I felt like I was just so pissed off. I really was. And I remembered telling myself, if I get this teacher at any point that I'm still in this school, I am going to be very pissed off. So 2nd grade came around. I had a wonderful teacher. I really loved her, Mrs. Boccolini. I loved her so much. She loved me and my sister. And I felt like, okay, 1 year down, hopefully I don't get her. I had like a countdown, and I was just like, okay, this ridiculous, and I don't want to see if I had her. Sadly, I had her for 3rd grade, and I just remembered being so fucking pissed off. I was like, I want another teacher. And of course, at the time, I think a guidance counselor or something said, oh, we can't do that since we already had everybody there. And I was like, fuck, okay. So I did my best to like really not stand out in that class, but that teacher was out for me. Apparently, once she found out who I was, and especially back then when I was in the 1st grade, she really hunted me, you guys. She just berated me a lot. I remembered there were so many days where I just like ignored her, because I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, she was just an adult, and I need to listen to her, respect her in a way. But still, she was just finding ways for me to get in trouble and try to get me like out of the classroom or something. I don't know. She was just really mean, you guys. And whenever I got sick, that even made her even pissed off, because she was like, you're missing out on good learning or good time for learning, and you're spending your time being sick at home. And I was just like, I just got a cold. Like, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, well, have your mom give you more medicine or something, but we don't need you to miss any more days of school. And I was just like, fine, I'll try my best. And then whenever I got sick, which I wrote down, she would purposely fail me in class, so I would do extra work. So yeah, so I remember there was a couple times that I remember I got sick, and then I came back like 2 weeks later because I was a really nasty cold during that time, and I still remember it, where I was bedridden for a week, and then I finally got over my cold a little bit, then it came back, and then I went, and I don't know what happened. Anyway, I ended up getting like my whole family sick, sadly. My mom had to miss work a little bit, but she still had enough money to cover for like her expenses and stuff, and including rent and bills. And so excuse me. And so I remembered I showed up the first day of that class, like back from when I was getting sick. She was supposed to give me paperwork. She never gave me paperwork, but she ended up giving me a lot of schoolwork that did turn into homework. And apparently that was not good for the principal. Principal found out about it, gave her a warning, and just said, okay, fine, and this and that. That made my mom sus. She got sus, you guys. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. I had to blow my nose. I didn't want you guys to see that mess. It was disgusting. Anyway, so yeah. So my mom got sus. She was like, hey, why is this teacher treating you differently? I remember your first grade teacher, she was really nice. Your second grade teacher, it's nice. What the fuck is going on with your third grade teacher? And I told her, I don't know. I told her like my side of the story, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna have a talk with this teacher. Okay. And she went to go call, I remember she called the principal. Principal's just like, what's going on? And she's like, I need to talk with her teacher, blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, well, we could set up a parent-teacher conference if you want, and then I'll show up to see if you, so that way I'll be able to, you know, relay any type of information you need, and this and that. And apparently she had to get a translator because my mom doesn't understand that much English, but this principal really tried to speak Spanish to her. But my mom was just like, you do what you can, but I want to talk to this teacher. And she's like, well, we have parent-teacher conferences coming soon, and you have a good time to talk to her. And she's like, okay, when will that be? She wrote that down somewhere, and she's like, I'm gonna talk about this with my boss. And my mom's boss at the time was really nice. He found out what was going on with me, and he was just like, I don't know why teachers are always like that, but fine. Like, I'll give you the day off if you need to. My mom was like, I really need it. I need to do this parent-teacher conferences because they're, my mom was always like, their useless dad is not going to do that. And I was just like, oh, that's true. There was a few times where my dad did drop me off from school and then pick me up a few times, and including when I was in kindergarten and this and that. But then, of course, my dad was just like, no, I need to have you do that for yourself too. And my mom had to go pick us up from school a lot often, even when she was working. So yeah, anyway. What else did I write on here? Okay, so yeah, now it became the parent-teacher conference. Mrs. Mackenzie pointed out all my faults, and my mom had enough. Yep. So that's what happened. When the principal was making the rounds to see what kind of compliments the teachers were giving to the students, and then seeing the happy faces of parents, that's all she needed. When it came around with Miss Mackenzie, oh boy, my mom threw some words at her, you guys. She cussed her out in Spanish, even in English, because there were a few times where Miss Mackenzie tried to speak English to her because I knew it triggered my mom. Excuse me. And my mom did not care. She cussed her out both in Spanish and English. I just remembered how pissed off my mom was, and I just remembered, oh, she's not going to be nice. That teacher's not going to be nice to me when the parent-teacher conferences are over. Sorry. I can barely speak because that's how funny it was to me at the time. And then I was still kind of scared because she was going to bully me more, and that was true. So principal at the time gave her a warning, which led to Mrs. Mackenzie being mean to me more. My classmates would point out how wrong it was. Even the other teacher in the class said it was wrong. And yeah, it was. I remember the other teacher, I forget her name, but she was such a lovely, lovely teacher. And I still believe, I think her name was Mrs. Alvarez, but I do not remember. I really don't. All I remember was my best friend at the time, Demi, had her. And so she was like on the other side of that classroom. And she saw how I was getting treated by this teacher. Even when I was like sitting quietly in class and I was just like trying to do my schoolwork and then talking with these other students, she was still trying to bully me, basically. And so it was really fucked up. And this is the part where I'm going to get emotional, you guys, because I had to defend myself at one point. And that led to me getting in trouble. And then they wanted, another meeting with the teacher. So, of course, as usual, how I started my day back in there, I remember I got into class, I was just like sitting down, did my work, and then I was talking to a few students here and there, saying like, okay, what are you guys going to be doing for recess? They're saying, oh, like, I think we're going to go play soccer or this and that and this and that. And I just remembered she was getting triggered already by my voice. And I was like, okay, this shit's going to have to end. And I remember if she pushed me to my limit, I remember I told her, like, I do not care if I get in trouble, but, like, you're being really mean. Everybody in the classroom shut the fuck up, including the other teacher. She was just like, oh my goodness, she's actually standing up for herself. And then my best friend Demi, and the other one, she had like her mouth covered, like, oh my god, what she's doing, she's gonna get in trouble. Miss Mackenzie, oh my goodness, let's just say she berated my mom and my dad and my whole entire family, you guys. Whew. Let's just say that conversation did not end well. I even said, call my mom and repeat everything you just said to me. Oh, gladly. Oh, my mom cussed her out over the phone, and she's like, what the fuck do you want? Because I'm at work, and I don't have time for your shit. Woo! Everybody heard that. My mom's voice is loud, you guys. It's very loud, like mine sometimes. So, yeah. She basically was like, okay, we're going to have another meeting about this because you do not have the right to cuss me out like this, blah, blah, blah. And I was over here like, what can I do? And all I did was I just sat down, started laughing. Mackenzie was about to throw something at me, or not really throw at me, but she was going to throw words at me, you know, just saying like, oh, shut up, this and that. My mom was like, if I hear you cuss out my daughter one more time, I'm going to throw your ass in the parking lot and we're going to handle it. Because back in the day, I don't know how common this was, but I remembered back in the 80s and 90s, especially early 2000s, at the time before work parking lots or even store parking lots were a thing, everything was like, you can handle things in a parking lot. And I remember I used to say a lot of that stuff when I was working. I was just like, you got a problem with me? Let's go fucking fight it out at a parking lot. And I for some reason I always said Walmart parking lot, and everybody would fucking laugh about that. But anyway, my mom told her that, and she's like, you do not dare threaten me, blah, blah, blah. Like, I could get police involved, and blah, blah, blah. My mom was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I hear you fucking almost cussing out at my kid. We're gonna have a problem. And she's like, okay, well, it's like, okay, well, I guess you're not in trouble now. And I was just like, that's fine by me. It's like, well, I'm still gonna send you to the principal's office. And the principal did not like that. She called the principal. Principal was just like, no, I'm going to go handle this myself. We're going to have a meeting next week and this and that. So for that following week was hell. And it was just mainly because that teacher was finally in charge of pickup zones and drop-off zones. And I remember this was recent when I was in elementary school. And I just know that nowadays they do have that type of stuff for all schools. It's just to you know, basically it's for safety for the students, for the faculty members, the teachers, parents, everything. So that way, you know, if anything happens, at least they have a chance to like drive away and then be safe, this and that. But for us, it was mainly like, we were trying to figure out like, okay, some of these parents live far away and all they want to do is just pick up their kid or drop off their kid to the school. And then they just wanted to go to work or do whatever. So yeah. So my mom, during that week, my mom had a lot to say to that teacher, that's for sure. So it said one day when I went to get picked up from school, Mrs. Mackenzie led my mom to another parking spot, which led to a feud between them. The last straw was when I was dropped off to school the next day, and my mom purposely called off work to talk to the principal about Mrs. Mackenzie about how I am always the last one to get picked up and dropped off. Yep. So for some reason, this teacher hated me even outside of class, and she always did that on purpose, even when my sister was there. And at the time, she's like, she didn't like the bathrooms at the elementary school because they're disgusting, and she had to go to the bathroom a lot whenever she had to go home. My mom was like, I remember she told that issue to the principal at the time, and they relayed all that message to all the teachers. But for some reason, Ms. Mackenzie did not heard about that. My mom had to throw fucking words at her, literally, you guys. It was like, I see my daughter's there, let me go pick her up. It's like, oh no, we still need the other students to get picked up too, so you're gonna have to wait. And my mom was like, I have to go. Like, I just came out of work. I understand, ma'am. My mom did not like that. She's just like, all right, if you're gonna be doing this for the rest of the week, we're gonna have that conference early. She's like, what conference? And it's like, we're having a meeting next week about your behavior towards my daughter and these other students. Let's just say those parents were not happy either. They were just like, what's going on? Why is she arguing with the teacher? And when she heard everything, they were like, oh, okay, so what's going on? This is terrible. And one of the teachers was just like, hey, Miss Mackenzie, we need you to go to the principal. She needs to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, fine. Gives her the clipboard. And she's like, hey, ma'am, is everything okay? And my mom told her what happened, cussed out in Spanish and in English. Teacher was like, don't worry, I speak Spanish. I understand your frustration. Like, since your daughters are already here, you can come and pick her up. I was like, thank you. How come that woman over there, my mom didn't want to call her a bitch, but I know for a fact she wanted to. She called her a bruja, and that's a witch, basically, in Spanish. So she's like, why did that bruja did not allow me to go pick up my daughters now? I could have been home, like, literally 5 minutes ago. And the teacher was like, I do not know. Like, I could clearly see that your daughters have been here for more than the allotted time that they're supposed to be here on campus. So yeah, you should go home. And it's like, okay. My mom picked me up in her van, drove us back home. She was just getting pissed off. She's like, I'm gonna go cook dinner, I'm gonna go do this and this and that. And so next day was the final straw. My mom was like, I had to be there early for work, and she wanted me to be dropped off early, which I ended up doing, but I was still one of the last students to get into class, this and that. My mom was like, you're gonna fucking make me late to work, bitch. Called her out, cussed her out, of course. And me and my sister were like, oh my fucking god, this is so embarrassing. But hey, it is unfair. I remember my sister was like, I don't know why your teacher is being so mean to you or to us. I'm like, I do not know. And then I remember I just got off, and my mom was like, fuck that teacher, get off get out of the van and tell her that you're here. And I was just like, sure. I went to do that. Miss Mackenzie prevented me from leaving the van. My mom was like, put your hands on this vehicle one more time and we're going to have a problem. Whoo! She did not like that. And she's like, oh, I cannot wait for that meeting for next week. And she's like, fucking right, bitch. And then just drove off as soon as we got out of the van. It's like, if I come to work late again, your ass is going to be in that parking lot and we're going to hash it out. And, ooh, my mom, I remember how pissed off she was. Boy, I have never seen her that mad before. And whenever she did got mad, and it was just because of, like, you know, whatever, something that my brother did or my dad did, mainly my dad. But yeah, luckily she never got late to work during that week. But let's just remember this. It was a constant thing every single day during that week. My mom had fed up. She cussed her out every single time. Me and my sister, we will laugh in the van, and we're like, yeah, but I'm still dealing with this in class, you know? And she's like, let her call me during work, and I'm gonna kick her ass, basically. And I was just like, okay. Anyway, so yeah, the only thing that happened during that time was the principal only gave her a warning. My mom wasn't happy about that. So once the whole school knew about what my mom did, it made other parents speak up about Mrs. Mackenzie, and the principal noticed a pattern that ultimately led her to getting fired and not being near, I put 500 feet, but I think it was 1,000 feet, from school or teach ever again. And so, but yeah. Okay, so I was trying to read ahead what's going on, but excuse me, I'm gonna go blow my nose. Okay, I'm back. Anyway. So yeah, I was reading ahead of my notes just in case if I missed anything, but no, I haven't. So I talked about like what happened in first grade, which I thought that's what gave her the reason, I guess, for her to bully me and during that year of third grade. And I just remembered this movement that my mom did. It actually helped other parents speak up about their experience with the teacher. And I don't know if this was an ongoing investigation since, but I just remember how fed up that principal was at the time. And it led her to, I don't know if she quit or got another job, I don't remember. But by the time I got into the 4th grade, I remember there were some teachers that was nice to me after that. And because when they found out about what happened to me, they were just like, oh, we have to be nice to students or whatever. Oh, they were already nice. There was a lot of nice teachers, but they were kind of like a lot nicer just in case if like they didn't want to get fired or anything. But all I know is that it led to a movement. A lot of these parents from the past, before and after I left, that elementary school and this and that. And I remember one of my friends at the time, I was in high school, and I remember she approached me one day, and I was just like, oh, hi, I haven't like seen you in forever. And she's like, yeah, I need to talk to you about something. I said, what happened? I said, hey, I don't know if your mom knows about this, but like, remember that teacher that got fired? And I was just like, wait, like, kind of like, hold up there. What do you mean? Take a couple steps back. Like, what do you mean? She's like, oh yeah, Miss McKenzie, she got fired because there was a lot of teachers that complained about, not a lot of teachers, a lot of parents complained about her. And it led to the principal investigating over the years, and she finally got fired. And I was like, she got fired? It's like, yeah, like, why does that not surprise you? I was like, I honestly thought she just didn't like me. Honestly, no. She's like, there were some students that, well, the principal found a pattern in her hateness. Apparently she didn't like, quote unquote, spoiled kids. And I'm over here like, I wasn't even that spoiled. I just got sick often and this and that. And she's like, well, like, do you think she picked on you because you were big? I'm like, I'm still big. I'm like, I'm still a big girl, but I believe that's what happened. Yeah, because she said that another girl in her class had her in elementary school, and she was also mean to her for being overweight and this and that. And so I felt like, okay, maybe she was pointing out faults in these students because she felt like she was projecting her feelings about herself being overweight, because at the time she was very overweight. And I don't know what happened after that, but all I know is that once she got fired, and I said I felt happy because no other student would go through what I went through. And it led to a less toxic environment. My mom is still proud of that movement. Yeah, let's just say that day, back in high school, I talked to my mom about it. I was just like, hey, Mom, do you remember my friend so-and-so? And she's like, yeah, her mom's name is so-and-so, right? And I just said, yeah. And that friend happens to be got married to one of my childhood friends. And so she was the first one to tell me about what happened. And yeah. So my mom was just like, ¿Qué pasó? And I told her what happened, right? And she's like, fucking finally that bitch got fired. I knew that bitch was gonna get fired one of these days. And I was just like, oh shit, kind of like, mom still didn't like her even after all these years. And my mom was like, no, fuck that. She was like, I had problems with that teacher. And then I remember one teacher in middle school, and then one teacher in high school, and this and that. And I was like, you had a problem with somebody when I was still in high school? And she's like, oh yeah, I don't remember his name, but I wanted to kick his ass too. And I was just like, okay, boy, this is going to be like a 3-part saga, I guess. And because I remember this one math teacher I had in middle school, my mom did not like. And like I said, I could make another video about this, which I think I will, because it was a very eventful day for me during that time. And then the one in high school, which I vaguely remember, because I remembered everybody, like, I've had, like, because once I got to middle school, I did like 6 period classes, and so did in high school too. So all 6 of those teachers during that year, or if not, I had like maybe like half a semester one year, and then I'd switch over to another year, which that has happened too. So technically I had like 7 teachers in one year, technically, if you counted that. And my mom had one problem with another one, if I believe. But my mom, I don't know, because she's a huge feminist and this and that. But after that day when she talked with Miss McKenzie, she just didn't like nobody. She was just like, if I hear another problem from these other fucking teachers, I'm gonna go whoop their ass, this and that. And then that was when my sister had a problem with her 4th grade teacher. And I remember she did not like her, and for some reason I think she picked on her and somebody else in class. And my mom was like, I'm gonna fucking get her fired too if I have to. Bubba was just like, oh, she's like, I don't care, but I just didn't like her. I don't know what her problem was. And I was like, I didn't know what Miss Mackenzie's problem was at the time. But I just remembered, I talked about this with my friend Choji during in high school, and I talked to him about it. And then also we brought up some, of course, whenever he and I were on the, whenever we were talking in person or hanging out and this and that. And we always talk about like our past experiences and then some old friends, either we know now or like we used to know in the past and this and that. He brought up that one teacher, and well, I brought up Miss Mackenzie, and then he's like, oh yeah, remember that teacher? And I was just like, fuck yeah. Like I vaguely remember what she looked like, because I only ever saw her like a couple times during like the between periods, basically, so we can go to other classes and stuff. But I vaguely remember her. It was I remember seeing her photo on the in the yearbook. And I think during that year, a lot of people were just like, they labeled her as the racist student, and I was just like, oh, or the racist teacher, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, she was very racist, and so I was like, I hope my friend Choji will talk about that experience here on the channel one day, and that'll be interesting. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna end that there. But yeah, that was a very emotional thing for me to talk about, because like I said, I still remember as if it happened yesterday, and I still remember how scared I was going to class, or going into that classroom almost every single day, except on weekends, of course. Just being scared. I'm like, okay, how am I gonna survive this this day? Because I didn't want her to like basically just point out to me a lot or yell at me for something, that I was doing something wrong. And then when she did correct me, I did it right, but yet she was still like yelling at me for it. So I was just like, maybe this bitch was on her period throughout the whole time. I don't know. But I remembered I talked about it with other teachers, especially when I was in middle school and high school. And I remember their faces. They were like, why did this teacher did this to you? And I was just like, I do not know. Like, I still don't know, and I will never have the answers. But I'm only ever going to assume the reason why I was picked on was maybe because she was projecting her feelings about herself towards other students. Like, maybe she felt like she was overweight, or she was getting sick, or maybe, I don't know, whatever her problem was. But all I know is that I am glad that she's no longer teaching at that school or any other school. If I do find out that she is teaching somewhere else, I am hoping that she learned from her past behavior, and hopefully she's a lot nicer to students. And if not, I know there's a lot of parents nowadays, especially millennial parents and Gen Zers. I mean, that too, but Gen Xers also. They've learned about how like, you know, like they've heard about bullying in school growing up, and hopefully their kids don't go through that type of stuff. And you already know how the internet is, you guys. Once something is out there, there's no way that it'll be forgotten, basically. So like, if somebody did research on this Miss Mackenzie person and found out what she was doing, and hopefully she's doing good, even despite like our differences back in the past. I still hope that she's still doing well. I hope like her kids are doing well too. I hope her husband is doing well. It's just, I just hope that she's no longer teaching. And if she is teaching, maybe she took a plea deal or some sort of deal that she needed to go back to teaching for extra money or this and that. I don't know, but it's just, I just remembered hearing that news from my friend back then. She was like, oh, she got fired, this and that. I was like, oh my goodness. Like the amount of happiness I felt that day, everything felt right to me since then. Like during that day, I just remembered I came to class like just shit, like basically like shit. Like I was just tired. I was studying all day for like mid-finals. And then when she told me that, I felt like everything for that rest of the day did not affect me at all. And for that entire week, I just remember talking about it with like my friends, and I remembered when we were talking about some past experiences with like other classmates, like I told them about my experience. Everybody was just like, what the fuck? Like you should have said something sooner, or they would have gotten away with it. And I was like, I felt like, I don't know, I did say something, my mom did say something, and I guess it led to like the movement, you know, kind of like, you need to investigate this teacher, like maybe she's being mean to the student, blah blah blah. And all I know is that that female principal, I don't remember whatever happened to her, but I did find out that I think she went to a kindergarten, or if not, she's no longer being the principal anymore, maybe she retired, I don't know. But that male principal, once I got into the 4th grade, everybody loved him, and he actually took his job very seriously. Like when he found out about anything about students, he took it to heart and was just like, I'm gonna go talk to these teachers, I'm gonna go talk to these parents. Did a bunch of parent-teacher conferences, and when he found out that maybe like a teacher was having a problem with a student and this student wasn't even doing anything like I was going through, then they gave him warnings, but if they heard it one more time, instantly fired. And I was just like, oof, I don't know how many other teachers got fired since then, but I know a lot of them retired or sadly died before their retirement or this and that. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience for me, you guys. That's all I can say. And like I said, it's going to be something that I'll never ever forget. It's like, I lived through it. It still kind of traumatizes me as of today, but am I looking for an apology from her? No. I just hope for the best for her. I just hope that whatever is the next chapter in her life, hopefully it's really good. But still, I just hope, sadly, I just hope she got all the karma that she got over those years. I hope all that karma was worth it for her, because it's messed up. Because I felt like I said, when I did told this experience to everybody or whatever, like to my closest friends and family and this and that, they were just like, wow, you should have said something earlier. And I was like, well, it took them years, but at least it happened and this and that. And I remember my friend, since she has kids of her own and attending to that elementary school, or at least somewhere near there, she will always know about news about our old teachers, and she'll tell me, and most of it has been good since, right? And my nose is stuffy again. But anyway, but yeah, I hope for the best for her either way. And yeah, hopefully she's not bullying any other students anymore. I do hope that she did learn her lesson, and yeah, do not mess with Hispanic kids. That's all I can say, because even though she herself might be Hispanic or some sort of Hispanic descent, because she spoke perfect Spanish and perfect English, so I assume that she was Hispanic at some point, or at least somewhat of like a first generation immigrant or something like that. I don't know, but all I know is do not mess with them. Do not mess with Hispanic kids, because I was surprised that most of them were Hispanic and they were getting bullied, and so that's why the principal thought it was a pattern of her being racist in some way. I don't know. I highly doubt it was racism. I thought it was mainly like maybe these kids were spoiled and she didn't like that, or because we look different or we're different, and or not overweight and this and that. And once I found out that when Miss Mackenzie found out about like life at home, it's like she was trying to make it worse for me and this and that. And I was just like, fuck, if you want to come visit me at my house one day and see what's going on here, all I know is my mom's gonna kick your ass. That's all I can say, basically. And but yeah, anyway, I'm gonna end things there. I need to go blow my nose, and then I'm gonna go clear up this mess that I have right now, because it was such an emotional journey to talk to you guys about this. And I know this video has been going on long, and I did drink some more water. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I'm gonna end it there. So excuse me. So hopefully you guys have a lovely day and a lovely week, and I'll see you guys next week with another playlist story video, because I really do need to I need to start making them again every single month. So yeah, so expect next week to be another playlist story. So yeah, so bye everyone.